purpose, we're going to be looking at two key elements that I've learned, having worked with a lot of guys on this and having worked a lot on myself with this, on these two key elements, slowly unpacking mentally, emotionally, physically, a purpose. Now, I think the purpose is one of the most important things that we can have as a man, because without purpose, I feel like for a lot of the time we're just drifting. And when we're drifting, we're not really achieving, we're not progressing, we're not connecting, and we're not doing the things that we want to do. And it becomes meaningless. Life becomes meaningless. So these two key elements will form part of the process that will get you to where you need to be. Okay, so we're going to go through these two and how they can benefit you. So let's go on with it. Welcome to the Rise to Thrive show. I'm your host, James Boardman. If you are coming through, then please do let me know, whether it's watching back, whether you've got some thoughts on the presentation, and whether you've got any experience yourself in finding purpose. Please do share them, and then share this with somebody that you think that might need it right now. Cool. All right. So let's unpack like purpose. Okay. And kind of like what makes the process of purpose. So when I go back to when just before I joined the military, in my early 20s, my late teens, early 20s, I had no purpose whatsoever. And I often thought of myself as a drifting like warrior going through life. And I was in a really good job. I think it was 22. I was store manager for McDonald's. I was earning really good money, had a lot of responsibility, had a bright future within the company. And in fact, was thinking about moving on to another corporate company to do more training. So basically, I had all of this. I had money, had a nice house, had an house partner at the time, had a good future. But I remember feeling quite numb, even at such a young age, because I didn't feel like I had any real internal purpose. I then watched a film called The Black Hawk Down. I went to cinema, went to go and watch this film called Black Hawk Down. It's a war film based on US like Navy SEALs and soldiers in Africa. And it was this big operation. But before that come on, there was this advert, and it was an advert for Royal Marines. And it was this young lad, and he was sprinting through the common, like with his rifle. He was getting in and out of mud pools. He was going under tunnels. And I remember just at the end, it's like one of them Royal Marines lifting him out and say, compose yourself, good lad, off you go, boom, go in there. And then the next scene was him with his green lid on, camoed up on this boat, ready to go on a mission. And I instantly got punched in the face with, that's my purpose. And over the next year and a half, I completely shifted my life to go from this career, this future, to giving it all up and go and join the Marines. And I never looked back. And when I joined the Marines, I went through a process of 32 weeks of training. And the 32 weeks of training was a process. Now, one of the first elements that we need to be able to build and develop a purpose, a meaningful purpose, is a process. Now, I'm going to add here real quick that you've got everyday purpose, right? You've got purpose as a father, purpose maybe as a business owner or in your career, purpose as a husband. I'm not talking about that type of purpose. I'm talking about something that is for you, meaning for you as a man, where you have a purpose when you wake up, and this is you're doing for you. I really want to explain that, okay? And there's a difference between the two. So when I went through the process, what we end up doing is learning more about ourselves. Now, I went through the military. Some people will go through a career sort of process that's created them. Some people will go through a fitness journey of training for an ultra marathon or like a marathon. So like these are examples of processes. Some of you might have piled on a load of weight one time and you've gone through a process of 6 months of losing all that weight. So these are processes. For me, a process is a funnel of action with an outcome at the end. Okay, so on my particular example I'm telling you about, the funnel was the story of me going through basic training all the way through, and then coming out the other end with the green lid. So that was the process. The process then created the values, the principles, um, who I was as a young man, what I felt was important, and it gave me all of this information that I never really had before, because I didn't really enjoy my life was very meaningless apart from my key relationships. You know, I would go to work and I wouldn't be excited. I'd be at work and I just wasn't thrilled. You know, and a purpose brings us meaning, it brings us excitement, it brings us direction, it brings us the ability to be able to embrace a life. So when we're looking for a purpose, they're the things that we're looking for, right? Direction, embrace, fun, progression, drive, ambition. And that's what I was starting to experience for the first time in my life, going through this process. And somebody who was training for a marathon will feel that same way, right? They literally go through the process of going, man, I've run my first half marathon today. Oh man, I got up when it was raining and went for my run. Man, I'm feeling stronger. Man, look how good my legs look. Man, look how good my nutrition is. So we start unpacking this process, right? And all of the things that it brings to you, it creates element number two. And element number two for me is the one thing that we need to go alongside the process. And for me, when I understood this, I didn't really understand this until I finished my training, and I was about 6 months into a unit, military life, well and truly in it as a trained Royal Marine. And I sat there and was like, "Fuck." It's that thing that I've just twigged. That has what's created deep and meaningful purpose. And that second element is identity. So the identity becomes your values. It becomes how you see the world. Now, I'm going to give you another example here. So when I see people doing Race for Life, so people who run for cancer, what they do is go through a process of training to do a 5K or a 10K or a charity event. Okay. So the process is the funnel of action, and they're doing this. The identity becomes, man, this becomes meaningful more because I lost my mum, or I lost my dad, or I lost my sister, or somebody I love is ill with cancer. So going through the process is not only building the identity, it's building meaning, it's building what you believe in. And this unpacks your purpose. And before you know it, you're on this monumental purpose to raise money for something that you believe in by going through a process and having built this identity. Okay. And then all of a sudden you're like, bang, wow, look at that. And it's the same for like people that start on a fitness journey, for example. I'm just using fitness as an example. You start by going, oh God, I need to get in better shape. I need to be fitter. That's the identity, right? You start doing it for you, becomes that purpose. But actually, it sometimes becomes so much more, because you then, I want to set myself as a role model for the people that are around me. I want to leave me better to lead them better. So all of a sudden, there becomes that deeper purpose. And if you think about the very top of the surface, when you see the flower becomes the shiny object that we're chasing. But then when you come down all the way to the root and you're digging all the way down, you suddenly start understanding why you're doing it, and you understand the root cause of why you're doing it. And that becomes your purpose. So going through the process, building the identity, understanding yourself better, understanding the bigger picture. These are key things that we have to unpack. And the other thing that you have to remember on top of all of this that I'm giving you is that this shit takes time. You can't just fucking wake up one morning and go, I've got my purpose, because that is impossible. That's fucking impossible. Okay, you have to go through a process. And the process is you digging down. It's like you dig in this 6 foot fucking grave to get to the roots of the bottom, right? And then at the bottom, you're kind of going, wow, man, that's the real meaning of why I'm showing up here. You know, I'll give you another example. When I first started business, I went into business because like I wanted to have the freedom. Like there's two reasons. I wanted to have the freedom to be able to like be my own boss. And number two, I wanted to make like a decent living. But I can tell you now, 10 years on, my meaning and my purpose, my meaningful purpose. Um, and it's, we have to dig really deep down, and it's about changing lads' lives. So when I get a lad who sends me a message and saying, my wife just said I got my husband back, To me, that's like, man, that is purpose, right? That is deep purpose. And my purpose is to build deep and meaningful relationships with people that want to change the way that they live their life. That's like slowly become the purpose. And then suddenly it becomes more meaningful. And we need that in our lives as guys, as men. We need that because without that, we are empty. Without that, there is just feels like this huge hole in our body, in our chest, where we don't really know what we're showing up for. We don't really know what's the bigger picture. We don't know what it's all about. And that's where we have to connect the dots. But you have to show up and do the process. You can't be a lazy fucker. You can't turn around and say you don't want it because that is the fucking average cycle. The cycle of average, going around with all your bullshit excuses about why you're not showing up, why you can't do it, and you'll just stay average for the rest of your life. Or you can get up and you can find some fight, you can start unpacking, start finding meaning, and then things become stronger. More bonds, more connections, more values, more principles, more purpose, more outcomes, more progression. Do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's it. That's what I've got for you. So I'm back Monday, 6 o'clock. I am going, it's been a busy week back, first week back. So I am going to just draw out a plan and have a link with all of my shows. I've planned out the next sort of like 5, 6 shows. So you can have the link. I will put that up out there on my Instagram feed and my Facebook feed. So look out for them. But just know the show runs from Monday, Friday, 6 to about 6:15. All right, amigos. Have a good weekend. See you soon.